Hello everybody. This is a short lecture video showing you an example which uses the very first method, which is the simplest method, where I'm going to create a method where I'm not going to take in any arguments. So let me go through the code with you all, which I just wrote trying to come up with something simple. So this one over here shows you the class, and I'm calling the class example methods. And then I wrote two methods, but I placed them in two separate places just to show you, or reinforcing what we had talked about in the lecture, that I can place my method either at the top or at the bottom, but it has to be outside my main. So these are my two methods that I had written, which is included within the class called example methods, which is shown by the beginning curly bracket over here and ending curly bracket over here. However, they are outside my main method. So in my method called your experience, I am writing out three system out print line, which says my name is such and such, and this is my information. And then I have another code, another method called my experience, and these are my three lines that I have over here. So this one is a public method, static, and it is not going to return anything, and the same thing over here. This is my main method that I absolutely have to have in order for me to run this particular application and compile. And in this case, I start with the main method with a system line showing that this is the use of simple methods without passing any arguments. And then I call these two methods that I just wrote, my experience and your experience. Okay, everything is debugged, which I should not probably have done, because that should have given you some example or way how to debug it. But I debugged it, I'm sorry. And this is what I get. It says operation complete, and if I run it, this is what I get. So let me go through this with you all. This line number 11, is the first one that is shown over here, because every time I compile a program, it always starts with main, no matter what I have before or after. So it always starts with main, so that's why the first line is, this is a simple use of method without any argument. And then I call my first method is called my experience, and this is my experience, and I have my name is Jonathan, I have such and such things. So these are the three lines that is coming from this my experience. Now I could have put a /n at the end, or put another line to kind of separate these two methods out, but I did not. I could have put a /n over here, or I could have put a system out print line right between my experience and your experience. Both of them would do the same thing. And then I called another method called your experience, which is coming from this one over here, which is placed outside of the main, but in a different place or different area. And then these three lines are coming from that particular method. Now I can move this one right below here, okay, and the program would still work. So I can move this one right over here, and the program would work exactly the same way. Okay, so having where I have it does not matter, as long as it is within my class and outside my main. So this is coming from these two. These two are coming from these two methods that I am calling from my main. Okay, let's now take another example, which I kind of try to do from my already written method. So it may be a little, it may not be very clear, but let me show you what I had written. So I had taken the same program that I had written and changed my name to example method with arguments, and then I tried to change my method. Now this time it's going to take in an argument. Okay, so it's the same method, public static void and your experience, and I am trying to pass in an argument, and the data type is string. And then inside my body of my method, I have defined a variable called user input, which is of the type string. And then I have assigned the value that I would accept as a parameter when I call the your experience method, and assign the value as user input. And then basically those system out print line, I am going to tell show that this is coming from your experience method, and the hello my name is user input. So I'm going to actually ask the user to input their name so that I can take that input and make it a little interactive and give you the information. And then in my experience, I again change this one, and in this case I have changed it where it is going to accept one argument, which is a number, okay, and it is an integer value. And again I've done the same thing. I define an integer and said the number that I would accept as a parameter when I call my experience method, I'm going to assign it to this value called how many, and then I have written 4 system out print lines showing this is my experience. This is the method my experience, and my name is such and such, and then I have taken how many programming classes that I have accepted as a parameter from this my experience method being called. Now let's look at the main method. So this is my main method right here. So I have a string username, int how many, and then I have a scanner, okay, because I want to accept some value, and then I asked what is your name and stored that value using the next line method, which you have used already, and stored that value in username. That's a variable that I defined as a string. And I do the same thing, ask the user to input some programming classes and use the next int method to store it in this variable called how many that I have defined here. And then I have a system out print line which says this is the use case, this is the use of a simple method with arguments, okay. And then I call these two methods, my experience, and I pass my variable, in this case how many, which is of the type integer, and then your experience, and then pass username, which is of the type string. All right, so let's now see again. I have debugged it and I got a few errors, so I should have kept it that way, but I forgot. So let me run it, and now it says what is your name. So I say let's see, John Kerry Jr. And then hit enter, and it says how many programming classes have you taken so far? I have taken 9, okay. And then if I hit enter, now it says, okay, this is the use of a simple method with arguments. So of course it is going to start with here, what is your name, because remember everything starts with main, and then I have captured my name and my programming classes, and then it says this is a simple method with arguments, and then I use those values that I captured and call these methods and pass these parameters. So now it says my experience. So my experience, this is my method, and it says my name is John Jonathan. Where did I get John Jonathan from? That's not right. Okay, see, I said my name is John Jonathan, okay, because this is the my experience method and I have captured only the number, okay. So my name is John Jonathan and I have taken 9 programming classes. So this number 9 is coming from what I had input earlier, which is right here, okay. And of course in the other one, let me make this thing a little bigger, when I show your experience, then it says hello, my name is John Kerry Jr. So this is where I actually accept this value and wanted to show that this is John Kerry Jr. and this is my first semester. I'm only taking English along with my such and such, and my hobbies are such and such. Now of course I can put in a /n right over here to make the line go to the next line, so I can do all sorts of formatting. But again, my objective here was to show a simple example of how to write a method using or which would accept arguments, and in this case I tried using two different types. One is the string and one is an integer. Again, just like my previous one, if I move this one right below my public static experience, or if I move this one up to the top, it is going to work exactly the same way. All right, so it is going to work exactly the same way. So short video showing you the way of writing methods, and in this case I write method which accepts argument and one which is a simple method which does not accept argument.